This is a reading of The American Frugal Housewife by Mrs. Child. And this book is available on Project Gutenberg. The images contained in this video are from the book itself, as well as some public domain images. The American Frugal Housewife, dedicated to those who are not ashamed of economy, by Mrs. Child, author of Hobomock, The Mother's Book, editor of the Juvenile Miscellany. A fat kitchen maketh a lean will, Franklin. Economy is a poor man's revenue. Extravagance a rich man's ruin. 12th edition, enlarged and corrected by the author, 1832. It has become necessary to change the title of this book to The American Frugal Housewife, because there is an English work of the same name not adapted to the wants of this country. Entered according to Act of Congress in the year 1832 by Carter and Hendy in the clerk's office of the District Court of Massachusetts. Introductory chapter. The true economy of housekeeping is simply the art of gathering up all the fragments so that nothing be lost. I mean fragments of time as well as materials. Nothing should be thrown away as long as it is possible to make use of it, however trifling that use may be. And whatever the size of a family, every member should be employed either in earning or saving money. Time is money. For this reason, cheap as stockings are, it is good economy to knit them. Cotton and woolen yarn are both cheap. Hose that are knit wear twice as long as woven ones, and they can be done at odd minutes of time, which would not be otherwise employed. Where there are children or aged people, it is sufficient to recommend knitting. That is employment. In this point of view, patchwork is good economy. It is indeed foolish waste of time to tear cloth into bits for the sake of arranging it anew in fantastic figures. But a large family may be kept out of idleness, and few shillings saved, by thus using scraps of gowns, curtains, etc. In this country, where grain is raised, it is good to teach children to prepare and braid straw for their own bonnets and their brothers' hats. Where turkeys and geese are kept, handsome feather fans may as well be made by the younger members of the family as to be bought. The sooner children are taught to turn their faculties to some account, the better for them and for their parents. In this country, we are apt to let children romp away their existence till they get to be 13 or 14. This is not well. It is not well for the purses and patience of parents, and has a still worse effect on the morals and habits of children. Begin early is the great maxim for everything in education. A child of 6 years can be made useful and should be taught to consider everyday life in which some little thing has not been done to assist others. Children can be very early be taught to take all the care of their own clothes. They can knit garters, suspenders, stockings. They can make patchwork and braid straw. They can make mats for the table and mats for the floor. They can weed the garden and pick cranberries for the meadow to be carried to market. Provided brothers and sisters go together and are not allowed to go with bad children, it is a great deal better for the boys and girls on the farm to be picking blackberries at 6 cents a quart than to be wearing out their clothes in useless play. They enjoy themselves just as well, and they are earning something to buy clothes at the same time they are tearing them. It is wise to keep an exact account of all you spend. even of the paper of pens. This answers two purposes. It makes you more careful in spending money, and it enables your husband to judge precisely whether his family live within his income. No false pride or foolish ambition to appear as well as others should ever induce a person to live 1 cent beyond the income of which he is certain. If you have $2 a day, let nothing but sickness induce you to spend more than 9 shillings. If you have $1 a day, do not spend but 75 cents. If you have half a dollar a day, be satisfied to spend 40 cents. To associate with influential and gentle people with the appearance of equality unquestionably has its advantages, particularly where there is a family of sons and daughters just coming upon the theater of life. But like all other external advantages, these have their proper price, and may be bought too dearly. They who never reserve a cent of their income with which to meet any unforeseen calamity pay too dear for the whistle, whatever temporary benefits they may derive from society. Self-denial, in proportion to the narrowness of your income, will eventually be the happiest and most respectful course for you and yours. If you are prosperous, perseverance and industry will not fail to place you in such a situation as your ambition covets. And if you are not prosperous, it will be well for you and your children that they have not been educated to higher hopes than they ever realize. If you are about to furnish a house, do not spend all of your money, be it much or little. Do not let the beauty of this thing and the cheapness of that tempt you to buy unnecessary articles. Dr. Franklin's maxim was a wise one. Nothing is cheap that we do not want, but merely enough to get along with others. It is only by the experience that you can tell what will be the wants of the family. If you spend all of your money, you will find that you have purchased many things you do not want, and you have no means left to get many things which you do want. If you have enough and more than enough to get everything suitable to your situation, do not think you must spend it all, merely because you happen to have it. Begin humbly. As riches increase, it is easy and pleasant to increase in hospitality and splendor. But it has always been painful and inconsistent to decrease. After all of these things are viewed in their proper light by the truly judicious and respectful, neatness, tastefulness, and good sense may be shown in the management of a small household and the arrangement of a little furniture as well as upon a larger scale. And these qualities are always praised and always treated with respect and attention. The consideration which many, by living beyond their income and of course living upon others, is not worth the trouble it costs. The glare that it is about this falsehood and wiki parade is deceptive. It does not in fact procure a man valuable friends or extensive influence. More than that, it is wrong, morally wrong, so far as the individual is concerned, and injurious beyond calculation to the interests of our country. To what are the increasing beggary and discouraged extortions of the present period owing? A multitude of causes have no doubt tend to increase the evil, but the root of the whole matter is the extravagance of all classes of people. We never should be prosperous till we take pride and vanity yield to the dictates of honesty and prudence. We never shall be free from embarrassment until we cease to be ashamed of industry and economy. Let women do their share towards the Reformation. Let their fathers and husbands see them happy without finery. And if their husbands and fathers have, as is often the case, a foolish pride in seeing them decorated, let them gently and gradually check their feeling by showing that they have better and surer means of commanding respect. Let them prove by the exertion of ingenuity and economy that neatness, good taste, and gentility are attainable without great expense. The writer has no apology to offer for this cheap little book of economical hints, except her deep conviction that such a book is needed. In this case, renown is out of the question, and ridicule is a matter of indifference. The information conveyed is of a common kind. It is such as the majority of young housekeepers do not possess, and such they cannot obtain from cookery books. Books of this kind have usually been written for the wealthy. I have written for the poor. I have said nothing about rich cooking. Those who can afford to be epicures will find the best information in the 75 receipts. I have attempted to teach how money can be saved, not how it can be enjoyed. If a person thinks some of the maxims too rigid economy, let them inquire how the largest fortunes among us have been made. They will find thousands and millions have been accumulated by the scrumptious attention to sums infinitely more minutes than 60 cents. In early childhood, you may lay the foundation of poverty or riches in the habits you give your children. Teach them to save everything, not for their own use, for that would make them selfish, but for some use. Teach them to share everything with their playmates, but never allow them to destroy anything. I once visited a family where the most exact economy was observed, yet nothing was mean or uncomfortable. It is the character of true economy to be as comfortable and as genteel with a little as others can be with much. In this family, when the father brought home a package, the older children would of their own accord put away the paper and twine neatly, instead of throwing them in the fire or tearing them to pieces. If the little ones wanted a piece of twine to play scratch cradle or spin a top, there it was, in readiness, and when they threw it upon the floor, the older children had no need to be told to put it away again in its place. The other day I heard a mechanic say, "I have a wife and 2 children. We live in a very small house, but to save my life I cannot spend less than $1,200 a year." Another replied, "You are not economical. I spend but $800. I thought to myself, neither of you picked up your twine and paper." A third one, who was present, was silent, but after they were gone, he said, "I keep a house, and comfortably too, with a wife and children, for $600 a year, but I suppose they would have thought me mean if I had told them so." I do not think him mean. It merely occurred to me that his wife and children were in the habit of picking up paper and twine. Economy is generally despised as a low virtue, tending to make people ungenerous and selfish. This is of true avarice, but it is not so of economy. The man who is economical is laying up himself the permanent power of being useful and generous. He who thoughtlessly gives away $10,000 when he owes 100 more than he can pay deserves no praise. He obeys a sudden impulse, more like instinct than reason. It would be real charity to check his feeling, because the good he does may be doubtful, while the injury he does his family and creditors is certain. True economy is a careful treasure in the service of benevolence, and when they are united respectfully, prosperity and peace will follow.